Coming up, I just realized that my shadow might be preventing me from manifesting exactly what I want. It's shadow work time. It's time to go to work. Shadow work. The Unscrewed Mind. Welcome back to The Unscrewed Mind. I'm Matt Williams, and today we are going to be talking about shadow work. Now, this is a subject I knew absolutely nothing about before today, but I did know that shadow work was a big part of the spiritual process. And it's also important to listen to the universe sometimes. And man, every YouTube video in my feed has been on the topic of shadow work. Every post I've seen on Instagram and Twitter has had the title shadow work. So I felt like someone was trying to send me a message that this is a topic that I needed to understand and know more about. So here we are making a YouTube video. I learned a lot, and hopefully you will as well. After the little bit of research I did today, one misconception I realized I had about the shadow is that it was something outside of you, a repressed emotion, sure, but like it turned into a demon, and that was something that needed to be overcome or exercised for you to grow spiritually and for you to get what you want. And that's just absolutely not true. In this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly what the shadow is, how do you spot your shadow, and then how do you get to work on it? What is the shadow? Long story short, the shadow is a subconscious part of you that lies beneath the surface. Psychologically, the shadow is made up of repressed emotions that you carry with you from childhood or as a young adult. And you're repressing these emotions because they were particularly traumatic for you or it was a bad experience, and your shadow is trying to protect you from going through these things again. The shadow is that side of you that you just can't see. And when you talk about the law of attraction, the shadow is your paradigm or your programming. And it's important to know the shadow because this is the thing that is directing your actions and steering your life on autopilot. It is important to note that not all aspects of your shadow are bad. You may have some programming, parts of your paradigm, or some core beliefs that are positive and cause you to react in positive ways. Reason why shadow work is really important is that you need to visualize your shadow as a bundle of energy. The more times you react to your shadow, the more energy you give it, the larger it gets. And we all know that with the law of attraction, the law of vibration, everything is energy. So if you have this big ball of energy that is operating on autopilot, steering your direction, that energy is going to go out into the universe and is going to attract like energy. So if you have negative things going on in your shadow, it's going to attract negative things in your life, and it's going to cause a lot of turmoil, and you're not going to understand why. So getting to work on your shadow and shrinking it is going to be great for you, because then you're going to start attracting things that you're conscious about and that you're consciously manifesting, and you're going to have an overall more positive life experience. Also worth noting here is that your shadow can contain issues that you've carried over from a previous life. So not only are you having to work through issues that have been created in this life, you also have to deal with things from your past. And wouldn't it be great knowing that you're reincarnated and that you've got the next life to look forward to? Wouldn't it be awesome if you were able to handle things that have been built into your conscious, and then also handle subconscious things that carried over from a previous life, and just help the next you be upgraded in a spiritual way? Set them off on the right foot and handle your shadow work today. How do we begin to recognize our shadow? Here are 3 simple things to watch out for. And the first one is projection. Everything you experience in your reality is you pushed outward. And because of that, when you spot things that you find positive or that you find attractive or that you feel love for, these are parts of you that you also love, and you see them in other people or in other things. And in the same way, if there's something that you hate, criticize, that makes you mad, these are also parts of you that you just don't like or that you've repressed and you need to work through. This is a part of your personality that needs to be embraced. I didn't realize that I was even doing this or that this was a thing. But one way after studying this that I realized that I was projecting in my own life is that my son is getting ready to try out for the cross country team. So we've been having him work out on his own and run every day. And in my mind, there's a very specific type of uniform that you should wear when you're a runner, especially when it's hot, like it's shorts, it's low-cut socks, it's running shoes, and a t-shirt that you don't care what happens to it. And my son will just run in jeans and his school t-shirt and just whatever he was wearing. He would just go out and run a mile or a mile and a half wearing those clothes. And I used to get so mad at him, like, hey man, you're not dressed appropriately for running, and people are gonna think you're crazy and they're gonna make fun of you. But I realized that he doesn't think that way. Those aren't his emotions. Those are my emotions. Those are my demons that I'm trying to program my son with, which is absolutely crazy. So I learned that from just spending a few minutes on shadow work, that I'm projecting on him in this way, and it's not fair. These are my issues that I should work through and I worry about. It's not something that I should force my son to worry about as well. Is that too personal? Who knows? Who knows? The second thing you need to pay attention to or watch out for are triggers. Now, triggers is something that whenever it happens, it sets you off no matter what. What you have to realize is the trigger is not the issue. Your response is, and your response is not based on what's happening in the present moment. It's a response that's been programmed in from either a past life or from something that happened during this one. So you need to get deeper and figure out what is causing you to react this way and work through that issue so that you can spiritually upgrade yourself and get past it. The third thing that you need to watch out for are emotional patterns. Is there a path that you go down every day without fail? Is there a process that you follow on the weekends, every Friday night, every Saturday night, that leads to the same emotional spot once that path is at its end or once the process is over? If so, and it's not a positive experience, then there is something inside of you, something subconscious that is directing you down this path, and it's making you unhappy and you're not in control. So you need to figure out what's going on, why you're behaving this way, and break free from that pattern. Now, it's possible that through introspection, through kind of analyzing what's going on in your life, that you don't have something that you're obviously projecting. You don't have any triggers that you can identify, and you're not seeing any patterns. So you need to do some work personally to try and discover exactly what those are. And I mean, I know I have some that I probably haven't uncovered yet. It's not something that you have to do all at once, but there's a couple things that you can do to uncover what may be in your shadow so that you can get to work on it. And the key is journaling. Journaling is something that I like to do early. I usually do it to write down ideas or to flesh out things that I want to do YouTube videos on, but apparently you can use it to do shadow work as well. And you want to ask yourself 3 basic questions while you're doing this. The 3 questions you want to ask yourself are: what do you dislike about yourself? What do you judge, either in yourself or in others? And then, what do you fear? Now, once you have kind of written down some things, kind of write a little bit deeper on why you think that is. And what I've always noticed when I write is that initially it's hard and I've got to force the pen to make words. And then after a while, the thoughts just slowly start to come in a stream of consciousness, and then they speed up. And you can just write a whole bunch and then read through that when you're done. Something in there is going to stick out, maybe a memory, maybe something that you haven't thought about in a long time, and that'll kind of give you a hint on what's in there in the shadow that needs to be worked on. Now that you are intimately aware of your shadow, how do you get rid of it? And the answer is you don't. The goal of shadow work is to simply shine a light on that part of yourself, embrace it, and learn to love it. By doing that, you rescue your power back from your shadow. You bring that part of you into your consciousness, and spiritually, you level up, which is the goal of life. Now, first stage of shadow work is awareness. All we're trying to do is shine a light on this newfound part of ourselves, embrace these emotions, and let them come to the surface. The goal is to learn a little bit about yourself that you didn't know before, and it's important to approach this step with zero judgment. You're not here to call yourself stupid. You're not here to get mad at yourself because you found something about you that you just don't like. You want to embrace it, again, learn to love it, and understand that it's there so that you can have a better experience in your reality. Second step in shadow work is forgiveness. Forgive yourself for hanging on to these repressed emotions, for lashing out the way that you do. Forgive other people that may have had a hand in this experience that caused it to become a part of your programming, and learn to love this new aspect of yourself. Third and final step of shadow work is to be grateful. Your shadow, kind of a lot like your ego, is only trying to protect you from going through an experience that you found traumatic the first time around. So once you're aware of what's in your shadow and you've forgiven yourself for your shadow, then the goal is to love the shadow and thank that part of you for everything it's done for you so far. It's there for a reason, but maybe that reason doesn't work anymore or isn't necessary anymore. So you can be grateful for what it's done to get you where you are. But now I don't need it. I'm going to tuck you away and we're going to move forward. A couple things to keep in mind about shadow work. Don't approach shadow work as something that needs to be fixed, but as aspects of you that need to be embraced and loved. Healing your shadow will help you become more familiar with yourself, grateful for all aspects of yourself. It'll increase your vibration and help you manifest what you want, not what you are afraid of or resentful for. Peace internally will create peace externally because your outside world is a reflection of you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you on the next video. The Unscrewed